Hey there, and welcome. So, we all hear about DNA, right? It's the blueprint of life. And yeah, that's totally true. But a blueprint is just a piece of paper. You can't live in a blueprint. Someone has to actually read it, get the tools, and build the house. Well, in our cells, that builder, that crucial go-between, is RNA. Today, we're finally giving this unsung hero the spotlight it really, really deserves. So let's stick with that idea for a second. If DNA is the master plan, safely tucked away in the architect's office, the nucleus, then who's the contractor out on the job site turning all those plans into a real physical thing? Well, the answer is this amazing, dynamic little molecule that makes it all happen. All right, let's dive right in. We're going to start by looking at RNA as DNA's essential partner. And I mean, it's not just some sidekick, it's the absolute critical link. Without RNA, that beautiful DNA blueprint would basically be a library full of priceless books that no one could ever read. Okay, first things first, what's in a name? RNA stands for ribonucleic acid, and its main job is to act as the working copy of our genetic code. It literally takes the instructions from DNA and puts them into action. And this is so important because it's how we build proteins. The tiny machines that make our bodies actually work. And this molecule isn't some rare, specialized thing. Nope, RNA is everywhere. It's in every living thing, from the simplest little bacteria, those are the prokaryotes, all the way up to complex critters like us with a cell nucleus, the eukaryotes. It's a truly fundamental part of all life as we know it. Now, even though they're partners, they are definitely not identical twins. DNA, you probably know, is that classic, stable double helix. RNA, on the other hand, is usually a more flexible, single strand. And here's a really key chemical difference. Where DNA uses a base called thymine, RNA swaps it out for something called uracil. It's a tiny change, but it's like a little flag telling the cell, hey, this is a temporary message, it's ready for action, it's not the permanent master copy. But this is where the story gets really interesting. You see, RNA isn't just one thing. It's more like a specialized crew. So now, we're going to meet the three main types of RNA. And each one has a very specific and very crucial job to do on the construction site. Let's meet the team. So the three big players on this team are messenger RNA, or mRNA, transfer RNA, or tRNA, and ribosomal RNA, also known as rRNA. Each one plays a totally distinct role in this whole protein building process. So before we get into what they all do, just look at this number for a sec. 80%. If you could take a snapshot inside a cell and count up all the RNA molecules, which type do you think makes up a whopping 80% of the grand total? And the answer is ribosomal RNA, or rRNA. It is by far the most common type of RNA in the cell. Now, that might be a little surprising, right? Because we hear so much about mRNA these days, but there's a really good reason for this. This chart really puts it into perspective. Look at that. That giant 80% chunk is rRNA. tRNA comes in at about 15%, and that leaves just a tiny 5% for the famous messenger RNA. And this tells you something really important. While the mRNA message is critical, the machinery needed to read that message has to be massive and ready to go at all times. Okay, so we've met the team. We know who the key players are. But where is the actual work site? Where does all this building and translating really happen? Well, that kind of depends on what kind of cell you're looking at. In those simple prokaryotic cells, the ones without a nucleus, everything just kind of happens together in the main cell goo, the cytoplasm. But in more complex cells, like ours, the eukaryotes, there's a very clear separation. The RNA gets made inside the protected nucleus, right where the DNA blueprint is kept, and then it gets shipped out to the cytoplasm to actually do its job. And this all leads to this beautiful three-step workflow. It's like a little factory assembly line. First, inside the nucleus, a process called transcription makes an mRNA copy of a gene. Step 2, that little mRNA message travels out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm. And then step 3, translation. This is the magic moment where the cell's machinery reads that mRNA message and builds the protein, linking together all the right amino acids in the perfect order. So we've seen the different types and where they work. But how do their actual physical shapes help them do their jobs? This gets to one of the most fundamental ideas in all of biology. Form follows function. The shape of a molecule is perfectly designed for the job it has to do. And here's exactly how that plays out. So mRNA is this long, straight strand, which is perfect for carrying a linear code, almost like a piece of ticker tape, with instructions. Then you have tRNA, with its really unique 3D clover-like shape. It's perfectly designed to grab one specific amino acid and carry it over to the assembly line. And finally, rNRNA isn't just a messenger, it's a structural piece. It's part of the factory itself, the ribosome, where the proteins are actually put together. And this, right here, is really the main point. Each type of RNA looks and acts completely different. Their shapes, their jobs, they're unique. But despite all those differences, they are all working together in this perfectly coordinated dance to achieve one single, absolutely vital goal: building proteins. So, to wrap it all up, what's the bottom line? DNA holds the potential. It's got the information, the grand design. But RNA is where the action is. It is the dynamic, essential molecule that takes that static, stored code and turns it into the living, breathing, functioning reality of you. So if RNA is the molecule that translates our genetic code into the very structures of our life, that leaves us with a pretty incredible thought, doesn't it? If we understand this builder so well, how might we be able to guide its work? From creating revolutionary vaccines to developing brand new therapies, learning to rewrite the instructions that RNA carries is already shaping the future of medicine. It's an amazing new frontier. Thanks so much for joining me.